I just work when I get home from university, so maybe 4 to 3 hours every day. Today we reached 120,000 units sold, which is crazy.
This is a conversation with Zoro Arts, the indie game developer behind the game Pedal Pedal Pedal. He spent about 4 months working on the game, with only spending about 3 hours working on the game per day, so incredibly minimal time investment. And the game did incredibly well compared to the time investment.
Yeah, I made the demo in 2 weeks and then the full game in 4 months, yes. And I posted the gameplay 3 hours after development on Twitter, and it had like, I think, 70,000 views and 1,200 likes on the post, which had only like placeholder graphics and a rough gameplay footage. And it was like my first sign this game can be viral.
It's a very inspiring story if you're looking to be inspired, and if you're like, I cannot make games, I will never make it, then this is the episode for you. Look forward to being inspired, and I hope you enjoy.
I started in 2020 with my first like small game jam games, but it was actually because I saw a video of you and of Thomas Brush, which made me to start game development. And it's a COVID pandemic back then when I had school and I spent all the days at home because we had homeschooling. And I searched for a new hobby, and then I found a video of you about Rio Snail back then, and also a few videos from Neversong from Thomas Brush from his previous games. And I think these videos are the first videos where I wanted to make games myself, and it was really, I think, really spontaneous. I started by making game jam games, smaller prototypes, just small games to learn Unity, because I think back then I never wrote a single line of code before, so it was a really rough start for me because I only drew. And I drew like in manga style, I drew like portraits, I made some 2D designs and also a few 3D models in Blender back then. Just a few, like I tried to make a model of my room, for example, or of a car in low poly. But back then I never wrote a single line of code before, and it was a rough start for me to start with game development. And I think 1 year of prototypes later, in 2020, I made my first real game, Maki's Adventure. And this one was my first like real game without a week of development only. It was like, I think 2 years of development from 2021 to 2023 was the release of the game. And this was my first like real commercial game. And yeah, it was, I tried to be on social media. I tried to make Twitter posts and collected a few thousand followers there. Then I also started with YouTube videos back then, and it took a lot of time because I don't really have much time to edit them. So I tried to make it as good as possible, but having like to make a game, having university, and then also making YouTube videos is really a lot to do.
So you are done with school at that point, and you are like studying at university.
Yeah, when I made Maki's Adventure, I was in university. But my first games I made in school in my like graduation year, where I had the Abitur, and I spent the days in the school with my laptop, sitting in the back in the like back seat back of the class. Yeah, and then I basically just made games and tried to get through graduation.
All right. And are you done with university now, or are you still studying?
It's a difficult topic, but I'm still studying. I think 1 year and I'm done. Yeah.
Cool. So you managed to break through very, very early then. I think that's quite cool. Awesome. What would you say in hindsight about Maki's Adventure? What were the mistakes you made there? What were your main learnings from that project? Because we can see here on Steam it didn't do amazingly well. It has very positive reviews, so I think people liked it, right? But it did not do super well.
Yeah, it was really a lot of learning because back then I started with pixel art for my first game, and it was a big learning thing because I started with a really rough understanding of pixel art. For example, my background had way less pixels than the foreground elements, so it looked really incohesive. You know, it looked really like slammed together like an asset flip. But I made everything myself. But it's just because I didn't really knew that you can create all the assets all for the game in one file, you know, and then you have the same resolution on everything. But back then I made like, my character had, I think, 60 by 60 pixels, Maki. And then my background had like, I think 500 times 500, and it was way too high resolute. And it was really, it was a lot of learning, and I had to restart with the graphics after 1 year of development completely because the resolution was really not fitting.
Okay, this was, and like even if I look at the screenshots now, I can still see some varying pixel sizes, right?
Yeah.
They're like, not everything has exactly the correct pixel size. I also see a 3D screenshot in Maki's Adventure. Is there like what's about the 3D in the 2D game there.
Yeah, I think the 3D area is like the hub world that you see. And back then I wanted to make like dungeons like in Zelda, where you have like a strict level, it's linear, and it's not really open world, but it feels like a dungeon in Zelda. So you have like a starting area, and then you have to get up to the finish and beat a boss fight. And in the dungeon, there's also a mini boss fights or puzzles like in the dungeon. There are like enemy rooms, there are items to find, abilities to find. So it feels like a Zelda game because you have a linear story and you have dungeons, boss fights, like mini boss fights and stuff. And you also have the progression from Horror Night, so you learn your abilities on your journey. You have some things that you can explore, like you have some hidden secrets to explore, you have areas to find, you have secrets to find. So it should feel like a Horror Night-ic Zelda game. But I wanted to make something special there because you travel between the 2D dungeons on a 3D hub world. So it should be like a really special addition to the Metroidvania genre, So because most games are just one big world, and I wanted to have like a big world, but it should be connected in this 3D hub world area. And you also have mini games on the hub world. You have like secrets to find, characters to meet. So it's not only a visual hub world; it's more like a new area,
Okay, I see. Cool. Yeah, definitely sounds like you put a lot of effort into that game. So it's a bit sad to see that it like didn't do amazingly well. But like, what's your theory for why it didn't sell so well? Did you not do enough marketing, or was the game just not right, or what's your theory?
I think it's mostly because of the genre, because I think this game could have done way better with better marketing, of course, because I had like, I think 9 to 10,000 wishlists on launch day, which is not really good, but also not bad. So
Yeah, it's okay.
it wasn't enough for, I think, popular upcoming back then. So I had no spots there. So I had no front page feature on launch day, but I also had like 10,000 people who get an email, and I had, I think, 500 units sold on the first day, which is a really good thing, I think, for my first game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But then the sales like directly fell,
Okay.
I think nowadays on sale it makes like 30 to 50 units sold daily, but without a sale it barely sells 10 units a day. So it's like 500, 600 euros in a month, but not enough to live from, but like a good income source over time,
For a student project, I think that is still very solid. I think that's definitely something you can be more than happy with. Like,
Yeah.
how much time did you invest into Maki's adventure? How much hours spent, would you say, or how many years did you work on that?
It's hard to tell, but I know that I spent 2 years on it. And after launch, I spent 1 other year making like a level editor. I'm like really snail too. I also made a level editor. It was pain. It was really pain.
You made the same mistake. Why didn't you learn from my mistake?
I think your video came out later than I had the level editor, so I would maybe avoid level editor when I saw your video because I knew it was hard, but I wanted to make it because I think a level editor is really cool for a platformer game, and with this shark mechanic, I think you can build a really cool level with that. But I'm really amazed by the levels that people make, so it's really cool for me to scroll through the level browser, and just play other games. And some people say it's like the indie Mario Maker, but I don't think so. It's like a high praise. But one cool thing is that like a university reached out to me from America, I think, and they said that they want to use a level editor to teach level design. So right now my game is part of their like lecture. It's really amazing for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, the community for Really Snell, I think, also really appreciates the level editor. But I was imagining that this will lead to like a big bump in sales and people will be like, oh my god, we can make our own levels and it will sell much better. And it was like, meh. The people who were already there kind of liked it, and that was kind of it. Did you have the same experience, or did sales numbers change at all after the level editor?
I made a different thing because I made level editor free to play on Steam, so it's like a new application. I paid 100 euros, like 90 euros, I think 95 euros or something like that, to offer my level editor for free, so people can play it right now. It's a separate application on Steam because I just wanted to get people to make levels, And of course, people who own the game also get the level editor in an update, but people who don't want to pay the game but just want to play with level editor can do that because it's free to play. So and I think it reached positive reviews right now. I think it has 11 reviews, which are positive. It's really cool, but it's I think I knew that it wouldn't do that well, and it wouldn't be like a second launch. But I think over the time, maybe people come back and play levels, and that's what I wanted to do, right?
And can you even play community levels for free with the level editor?
Yeah, you can do that. You can only play level editor, of course. You cannot play the full game, but you can play the level editor, the levels. You can make levels, share levels, and everything.
And could somebody, for example, recreate your entire in-game campaign? And then you can play it for free.
There's every element from the game in the level editor, so you can make the whole dungeon in the level editor. Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, interesting. But nobody has done that so far.
No. Someone made the Path of Pain from Horror Night, which is really cool, and I also tried to recreate it because I think it's the most fun challenge that I had in a video game. Like this super difficult path, from Horror Night, Path of Pain. It is really fun to recreate it because I watched a lot of Horror Night videos, played a lot of Horror Night, and tried to recreate every mechanic from Horror Night into my game. I also, into the level editor, I also added like the chainsaws from Horror Night. I also added the Celeste dash, so you can also make Celeste levels then. And I tried to make like the universal platformer level editor, so you can make Celeste type levels where you have like this upward dash, this directional dash. You can use Horror Night mechanics like the dash, of course, a pogo jump you can use, of course, too. And all the mechanics of my favorite Metroidvanias are in the level editor to use.
Okay, but does your main character have all of these movement abilities by default, or can you like turn them on or off, or how does that work?
You can edit Maki, you can edit the character, you can edit his jump height, you can edit every value, you can edit the maximum HP, so you can customize everything, because there was like a game mode in Minecraft which is called Get Down, and you are like on, I think, 1,000 meters height, and you have to jump without getting fall damage, and you have to get down and jump on blocks that are like beneath you. And you have to get to the ground surface without dying from fall damage. And that's also something I wanted to make, so I also implemented fall damage. I made like new abilities in the game that are not even in the full game. So the level editor is more like, it has more content than the full game itself.
But that is more content, and you are offering it for free. And it sounds like a very extensive level editor. And now I also understand why that university wanted to use it as a game design teaching tool, if there are so many possibilities to modify the character and so on as well. That's interesting. Cool.
Yeah, it's really, and also I watch a lot of Mario Maker videos because I think Mario Maker is like, the level editor is amazing, I think. And there's like one fan-made Mario Maker editor, which has like the Mario Maker content, but multiplied by 5. So you have like thousands of elements that are new in the game. You have so much cool content, and I love this like infinite level editor thing that the Mario Maker fans made. And I really took this as inspiration. I tried to make everything controller compatible, because making a controller compatible level editor is like the pain. I made the level editor controllable with mouse and keyboard, of course, because it's easy to make with Unity's UI system. But then I had to make it all controller. Like it is really controller input is really, really hard for like something like a level editor,
Yeah, if you have a lot of UI, it becomes very annoying very quickly. I think for Will You Snail, we cheated a little bit, and we just made basically the cursor controllable with the gamepad.
But I think it's enough, right? If people can work with that, it's enough, I think. But I wanted to go all in and make everything. And I think level editor alone, as a controller support alone, took me 2 months to implement. And it was like the level editor itself took 8 to 10 months, so almost a year. And I also made some more content because people made levels that are really cool. And I thought, why not just add like a ball that you can shoot around, and now you can play football in the level editor too. And a lot of cool things came into the level editor. It's really fun.
Wow. But you're not still actively working on the level editor, or are you opening that project up every once in a while too?
Yeah, from time to time a bit, because I think it's a fun thing to work on.
Okay, nice. So you made Maki's Adventure, then you made the level editor, right? And
yes.
Then you made Pedal.
Before Pedal, I made a roguelike called Rogue Jungle, and that's like, it was in development for 1 year. It had like a feature, and the Grand Best, I think it's called Deutsche Indie Showcase in German. And it was like a showcase made by the YouTuber Gronk from Germany. I think he's like the biggest YouTuber right now in Germany, or was the biggest one. And he made, for the viewers, like an indie showcase where German indie games are showcased to his like follower base.
Oh,
and
nice.
I had the honor like to announce my game in the showcase, and a lot of people thought it was a really cool thing. So it had like a small hype around it. But then I got the idea for Pedal under the shower and thought I would just stop working on Rogue Jungle and just make Pedal in a few months, and then I work on Rogue Jungle again, It's like my way to do games, to make games.
I think the reason why your story is so awesome is because it's so relatable. Also, like you're just a dude from your bedroom, and somehow you managed to land your first hit with pedal, pedal, pedal. I think it's it's really cool.
I
So you
try my
got that.
best.
You got the idea under your shower, under the shower, and you were like you did you know right away that's a banger idea, or was it like this typical?
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
knew
god,
that.
or
Yeah, I can tell a bit about that because back then I played a lot of Chain Together, Carry the Glasses, like co-op rage games, which you can play with your friends. And I thought something like that, but with like a pedal boat would be really cool. And this idea came to my mind while taking a shower because 1 year ago on vacation with my brother, we had like a pedal boat and we made like a pedal trip. So we drove around, tried to pedal a bit, and having this like team-based mechanic in real life, you know, this I think pedaling is really hard if you have not like the best teammate for that, because you need to coordinate, you need to like talk to each other, you need to say pedal, pedal. You need to have like a rhythm, you know. If someone is out of the rhythm, then you are completely going to the wrong direction. And that's like the difficult thing about like driving a pedal boat. And that's why I thought, why not making like a co-op game with like a pedal boat mechanic. And this idea, as I said, came to my mind under the shower. And then I run to my desktop and try to make this game in Unity quickly. So I spent, I think, 2 or 3 hours to make like a really small prototype. It had just like Unity blocks around for the environment. It had like, I think, Unity spheres for like the bouncers where you cannot collide with. And then you also have like, I think, a character I made, I think, a year ago for my other game, Rogue Jungle, the player character, before I like swapped it with a bird. And then I like reused my watershed of Maki's Adventure because I just wanted to get the gameplay working. And I tried to reuse everything that I previously made and just make the gameplay working and like visually noticeable, you know. That you see, it's like a pedal game. You have to pedal and the gameplay should be clear, but the graphics are not really important back then. And I posted the gameplay about 2 or 3 hours after development on Twitter. And it had like, I think, 70,000 views and 1,200 likes on the post, which had only like placeholder graphics and a rough gameplay footage. And it was like my first sign this game can be viral, because also I made a TikTok video because I post a lot on TikTok because it's a really quick thing to evaluate. Because you don't need 100,000 of followers, you just need a post there and it can go viral because it's like a cool thing, you know. And TikTok doesn't require followers, so I just post all my gameplay things on there and see how the people react on it, how their ideas, what ideas they have, and if they like it or not. And then I just make the game with this like knowledge.
I mean, you know, because it's kind of normal to be excited for your game ideas when you have a new game ideas. There are a lot of game ideas that I think that you could also have under the shower that are probably bad game ideas that you just get excited about in the moment. Like, I think it's very normal to get excited about your game ideas when you have them, right? But then you made a quick prototype and people instantly gave you very positive feedback for that prototype, both on Twitter and it went well on TikTok as well. Then, yeah.
And then also some press people wrote about it on like, I think Daily Mail Gaming is like a big, like, I think British, like gaming site. They had like 500,000 TikTok followers and they also loved the game and posted about that. And this one, because Maki's Adventure was never shared that much and that fast by like a news outlet, you know? And that way I thought this game had really big, like, potential to be like a big game, you know? Because it has so much good feedback after 2 hours of development. I thought, what can I do in 1 month with that, you know? And I just then, like, made a demo, I think in 2 weeks. And this demo, like, it had 100,000 downloads then, and it was really big. And it went viral in Germany because, like, you know, Pete's Meat, Frank Royal, they played the game. Then also Paar Platte and Sarbex and Schradin and all the big streamers from Germany who play like this co-op rage games. And back then, I just sent a Twitter DM to them or text them under my Twitter post, and they directly said, it looks like a really fun game, we want to play it. And that was my first sign this game can be really big, because it's like this demo was made in 2 weeks, and I don't work full-time hours. I just work when I get home from university, so maybe 4 to 3 hours every day. And I can make something like that in 2 weeks. So I wanted to take a few months to make the full game then. And yeah, it was like a really it was really quick and spontaneous. And then the publisher also reached out, Sam Entertainment, and the CEO Stefan Marzinek reached out to me via LinkedIn, I think, and said, "Do you need a publisher? We would love to work with you." And I was like, they can make the things that I don't like to make, like localization, getting like the different translations for the game, because right now the game is available in, I think, 15 languages. And this helped me really much to get into the like international area, because when you want to go viral on Steam, I think you have to be localized, because I think we had someone sent me a screenshot. We were on the front page I think on the Steam in Japan. So we went viral there, and also in Korea. And right now, I think 60 to 70% of the units sold are from like Asian countries, which is really amazing. I think the German market only had like maybe 5%. So localization, a new capsule art, like a better trailer, and the publisher did all that, which helped me to get more people on the game via the Steam algorithm.
That's wild. And a lot of that was just based on like either very short 2-hour prototype or like a 2-month demo. Then like the publisher deal was based on that 2-month demo and the reception that got, essentially, right?
They had like in development version. They only played the demo, and they saw like the feedback from the streamers who liked it a lot. And then also like a first big thing for me was when I think I sent a trailer to the trailer email from IGN, and it got featured on the IGN main channel 1 day later, which was crazy for me. So it was on the YouTube channel from IGN, had like I think 23,000 views, and people loved the idea. And this one was the first post which got a lot of like wishlist also. I think 3 to 2,000 wishlist from an IGN trailer post only, which is like really big for me, because Pede Pede had not that big wishlist spikes. I think I launched a game with 10 or 11,000 wishlist after I think 4 months of development. So it was enough for popular upcoming and new and trending, and like the top. I think we also went to the top seller charts, but I think it has the same wishlist count as Maki's Adventure had on launch. But the difference was that Pede Pede had it in way less like development time, you know. So it had 10,000 after 4 months of development, and Maki's Adventure had 10,000 after 2 years of development. So I think my wishlist velocity was an important thing there.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so wild. You made the whole game in 4 months from you made the demo in 2, and then you made the full game in 4.
Yeah, I made the demo in 2 weeks, and then the full game in 4 months, yes.
Holy shit, man. I mean, you know, when you look at the game, you can kind of see that it's like a relatively quickly made game, but I'm wondering, was there any feedback, anyone who was like, are there any Steam reviews that are like, thumbs down, this doesn't look so great, for example?
I think graphic-wise, not really. There was like 2 or 3 that said, graphics look not that good, but the game is super fun. So the reviews are positive, but they criticize the graphics. But the important thing is that I think some people from China had like a high latency, because I think there's a firewall in China, and if you have, because I use Photon Fusion, if you want, we can talk about that too. And I think you need like a different Photon Fusion ID to support like more gamers in the Chinese country. And that was a really big thing, because I didn't have that. So like I think 80% of the players from China had like a good latency, like a super good performance. But I think 20% had like this like issue where I think the distance was too high, and like the firewall was in their way, that they had like I think 1 or 2 seconds of delay after every pedal. And this was something that killed my reviews a lot, like the on the networking part.
Got it. But like the thing I'm wondering about is, do people care if the graphics are crap? Apparently not, right?
No, like, really not. Because
if it's
just have to look at it. Most of the games look trash, if you want to say it like that. My game also looks trash, but it looks like a stylized trash, you know?
Sure.
And I made everything myself. Of course, I'm not the best 3D modeler, not the best 3D artist, but I think a game like that has to look really like trash, because people don't want to play like a co-op rage game with Elden Ring graphics, you know? People want to play it more, I think, with like only up graphics, chained together, which look like slammed together asset flips, you know? Because the graphics are too realistic, and it I think it's also like a lot of the games are made with Unreal Engine, and then you have photo scans, photorealistic models in 3D, you know, and Unity, you don't have that. So it's like a big problem for me. But I then just decided to make like a really stylized art style, used an outline shader, made like everything look more cartoony. And I think like the high contrast from the lava to the water to the characters in the boat made like the game stand out on Steam. And that's, I think, standing out between other games is far more important than having like a super realistic graphics for my personal opinion. And I think that this high contrast, when you look at it, it looks like really eye-catchy for most people, and people look at the Steam capsules a lot. And also like Sample made a new cover art, which looked really good in my opinion, and helped a lot with like catching eyes on the game. But before I had a screenshot of the game as a capsule art. And when we replaced the capsule art, I saw like a really high difference in like the conversion rate and stuff.
Oh, that's really cool. So you can see a difference there if you just change the capsule art. Wow, nice.
I mean, you see it in the, I think, views on the Steam page, because people see the button from the game on their page, like in the discovery queue, in like popular upcoming, of course, too. And of course, the new cover looks way better. Like the new one that is like illustrated. Before it was like a really a screenshot made in the game engine, and with like Arial text pedal on top of it with like a black outline. It was really like it was really indie way, you know. But Assemble like hired an illustrator to make a better capsule art, a better logo, and like way like a better trailer, because we also had like 2 streamers who played the game, and we took like we said them, maybe you can put a bit more things into your like voice lines. Maybe you can talk a bit more about the games, that we can record it for a trailer then. And having this voiced over trailer helped a lot with getting the co-op aspect out to the people, you know.
Is the voice over trailer, is it an explainer trailer, or is it people talking to each other as if they were playing the game?
They are playing the game on stream. In the end, you can also see their names, because we also include like a credit in the end of the trailer with the 2 streamer names. And they played the game on their stream, but we then took parts of the stream and took it for the trailer. Assemble made it. I didn't really make the trailer or anything about that. I just sent them the game and sent the 2 Steam keys to the 2 streamers, and they made the trailer then.
Okay, got it. And did they know that they were making the trailer, or did they just play it and in hindsight you took their footage?
They knew that. But there was one area where they couldn't really get further, you know. There was one area that was way too hard, and I had to decrease the difficulty a lot, because on day 1 it was way too difficult, the game. Of course, it should be a difficult co-op game, but not that difficult. And I think 1 week before release, there was German Dev Days in Frankfurt, and I had like a booth there because it's made by my publisher. And they put my game, I think, on the first row, that people cannot really walk past that without seeing that game. And having this feedback where people played for, I think, 1 hour and didn't made it to the first checkpoint helped me a lot to like balance the game. I also played the game with different friends of mine. I let people from my university play the game with my when I was behind them, you know. And having this like we also had QA, so we had people play it, and we had like a QA report that I could use and fix all the bugs and stuff. So on the launch day, there were no bug. There were not a single bug. The game was really bug free, and maybe only like a few graphical glitches where like a Z fighting happened, and 2 like 3D models like had the same height, and the polygons were fighting which polygons went at first and stuff like that, but nothing really game breaking. The only bugs were like graphical things and things I think does not look that good, and I had to like replace the 3D models, and yeah, it was a really good launch.
Nice. Happy to hear that. Yeah, we kind of got carried away from the graphics topic there. I just wanted to add that I think you described it so well with saying that it's like stylized junk, or how did you call it? Stylized?
Yeah.
Something like that. I think that describes it really well. And I think it's also a very self-confident type of jankiness, right? It's not trying to hide the jankiness, and it doesn't look accidental. It looks like very on purpose, like with these flying walls and everything very cubey and kind of prototypish. So I think people are more open to it if it looks like it's been done on purpose.
Yeah, I think so too. And only I think on social media, on TikTok, I had like a few hate comments which said this game looks trash. But when the game went viral, I used their comment to make a video with this comment and said, that's trash, so really good. Thank you for the comment. And people really think that graphics are super important, but for my studio, for Zoroark, for the games I make, I only care for gameplay and fun. I don't really care for graphics because I know I'm not the best 3D artist, not the best 2D artist, but I know that I can make fun mechanics like the pedal boat, the shark morphing in Maki's Adventure, and I build the game around those mechanics and try to make the game fun, and the graphics should fit the fun, but shouldn't be underselling. The graphics shouldn't be too bad, but it should fit to the gameplay and to the game itself.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, and also I think it's very genre dependent what people care about. Like if you, for example, make a narratively driven, immersive walking simulator or something like this, then probably people want good graphics there.
Yeah.
But for a lot of genres, graphics are probably overvalued, I think.
My like personal favorite is like from Devolver the games, because Devolver games look awesome, but they are not with the best graphics. But the graphic style is super unique and super like different from game to game, you know. And I think Devolver has this like graphical approach where they either have like the gameplay is really unique or the graphic looks really unique, but the gameplay can be already done before, you know. And I think Devolver games look amazing, but they also do not care about realistic graphics. They just want like a stylized experience, and that's something I also want to make in my games.
So you're looking for style more than anything, really. Yeah. Makes sense. And also you get that recognizability, like as you said, if you see a pedal screenshot, you instantly recognize the game. There's like no way around it, really. And you already knew how to do multiplayer, right? Because you've already made some multiplayer prototypes and like smaller games with Photon before.
I made like a car racing game in I think 2021. Before I made Maki's Adventure, it took I think 2 weeks to just learn Photon Pun back then. Because right now, because I had like an interview with the Photon developers, I think a few days ago for their social medias, and we talked a lot about Photon Pun back then and Photon Fusion, about difference and stuff, and about how to make a game with Photon. And I think back earlier, I think when I made the car racing game, Photon Fusion was not existent. I think back then only Photon Pun was like Photon Unity Networking is like what Photon Pun stands for. And I think back then only Photon Pun existed, and Photon Pun was really different to Photon Fusion. And it was like a big thing to get from Photon Pun for me to use Photon Fusion too. Because the components work differently, the whole like system is different a bit, and I think I don't even know how Photon Pun works right now because I forgot it. Because it was like really specific components that you need to use, and right now there's like Photon network with body and components like this one, and I think because I don't really know how networking works and how like online multiplayer works, but I just use the Photon components, like because I'm a developer who learns from seeing other people work with it, you know. So I used some example projects like a racing game made by Photon, and I tried to rethink this project into my game, into Pedal, and try to rethink how this how I have to like make the components and stuff. Because the difference is in a racing game, everyone has their own car, you know, and you only have to sync your own car. But in Pedal, you share the same object. You have like this one boat that everyone needs to work with, needs to like get the position rotation from. And you cannot just have like a rigid body network component, slam it onto your object, and then it works out of the box. With Pedal, I also right now build client-side prediction into it, which is also a really hard topic for me because I am more like a graphical guy, so I just make 2D art. I try to make programming too, and program is really hard for me, but I try to learn it over the years. But learning online networking is like a whole new level because it's so deep and super hard to learn, and I'm happy that Photon exists because you can make it work without knowing how it works under the scene, you know. And it mostly it's like you have to learn how the components work, how and where you have to place your components and stuff like that. But you don't have to learn how like the networking part, like interacting with the server and stuff works.
Right. And so you basically taught yourself how it works from looking at example projects, right? Okay. Interesting. And how do you make like a shared object like that? Because usually I think the way these networking libraries work is that certain objects are owned by either by specific players or by a server, right? And then do you just is one player the authoritative server player that decides the real position of the boat, and the other just sends inputs.
Yeah,
something like that,
it
right?
works like that, right? So you have like two players in the same boat, and one player is the host, and the other player is the client. And the client sends an RPC, so a remote procedure call, when they have like an input, like pedal. Because with pedal, in online multiplayer, you press space to pedal, or like the A button on the controller. And then in online multiplayer, the like Photon sends an RPC from the client to the host and says the client has pedaled now. And then the host triggers the action on their side and then sends the pedal like with the visual things like the animation and the rigid body, like add force and stuff, and sends this RPC back to the client. And that's how it basically works. So there are like one RPC for the input detection from the client to the host, and then one RPC from the host to the client for the action in the game.
Got it. So that means that in Paddle, one player basically has immediate response for their actions because they are the host, and the other one has to wait for the signal to come back. And for that player, you implemented prediction?
I am right now. But right now, the game works without prediction because for most players, I think for every big streamer or every like content creator, because they have a good connection, a good internet, it works perfectly. So you don't see any delay visually. And they don't really talk about it feels delayed and stuff because it doesn't look delayed. There's like maybe 100 milliseconds of delay, maybe, or 200 milliseconds.
Sure.
Because they have a good connection, because they are streamers. But for many players from China, as I said, it was like because a firewall was in their way and stuff, and it was really, it didn't really work for them. And they had like 1 or 2 seconds of delay, which for them killed the experience. But right now I'm building client-side prediction 3 months after launch to make the game better.
Yeah. So I think, but even very small things can probably already help a lot. For example, that when you press the pedal button, you instantly see the animation locally. And even if the movement takes a second to kick in or so, like even if you just see the animation happening or so, I think even just small things like that can probably also make a big difference already.
Yeah, that's what I try to do. And right now it's already working. The animation is happening directly, but the source, of course, needs to processing time from the client to the host and from the host to the client. But right now I try to like push the object locally from the client too, but it has some location problems then because it's not synced. And now I have to like send the like real position from the host to the client to correct it. And that looks really laggy for people, And it's really hard to make it work, but I think I will get it done in 1 or 2 weeks.
Okay, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, cool. I'm working on it every day.
Nice. So, but you don't have to do this. You just want to make the game better, essentially. Yeah. Cool. I can sense that you're very passionate about your games and about game dev in general, and it's cool to see that this approach works out, right? Also, like for Maki's adventure, is like you're not working on it for like a cash grab. You're working on it because you like the game, and you're like, I don't care if this level editor sells super well. I just think it's cool.
I just want to make fun games because I love making games, and it's something I want to do, I think, for the next 40 years of my life. And I hope that I can also have the same mindset 10 years or 20 years later, of course, because I don't know how you feel with 30, because right now I'm 23, and maybe in 7 years I have a different like mindset, a different like plans on my future. But I hope that I have like enough money then that I can live without having struggles then, because Pede did really well financially, and it was like a big sign of hope for me, because right now I think like living from game development can work if you make games that people actually want, and if you don't really make only games that you only want, but make games that players want and like that go viral already and add your own twist onto it, I think. Because you can make games that you want, of course, like a point-and-click adventure if you like it, but you also have to look into the market if you want to live from your games. Of course, you can have a job and then make games in your free time, and then you can make everything that you want. But when you want to live, because in the next years I really want to live from game development when I finish my university, and then I really have to find something that I can do for like 10 years, 20 years and stuff that I can use financially, And right now I'm thinking more like I just make games that are fun to me. And of course, most games are fun to other people too, because I'm a gamer myself and I know what people like, because I study Steam every day. I look into the popular upcoming. I see on LinkedIn which developers post about their games and what they did for marketing. because I also saw a game like it's called Final Sentence. It's like a battle royale, but you have to type. It's like Type Racer, but in a battle royale with 100 players in it. And I think seeing games like that on LinkedIn where people post about their like TikTok success and stuff really helps me to also plan my future games. And maybe I could also use TikTok for my game. Maybe I could also reach out to this YouTuber and use this email to like contact IGN and stuff. And I think you also have to learn about marketing, learn about how to make how to make commercial games, how to make viral games. But it's all just happening from my heart, you know.
It's a difficult line to walk, right? Where on the one side you're like, I just want to make games that are fun. I just want to make games that I really like.
Yeah.
But at the same side, you have to balance it with the economic aspects where, for example, one thing you said earlier is for Maki's adventure, it was mostly the genre, which I would agree with. Like platformers in particular are one of the most difficult genres. So, but you have trade-offs like that, right? So you still need to find a way to work around these trade-offs, and you gotta learn the business side of things.
Yeah.
So how are you planning to walk that line?
To be honest, just look how things work out. I don't really want to spend too much time thinking about the money and stuff because I think it's the best way to just make games and let everything happen itself. But of course, you can use things like TikTok and social medias to learn how other people market their games, for example. Because I think learning how to work in the industry better and not really care about the money, but more about how you can improve your workflow, how you can improve your marketing way, how you can make fun games and stuff, and what people like about it is way more important than only taking care about the money and stuff. Because in my opinion, money will come if you just put your heart into the games. Because that's what happened to like almost every game developer. You know, Balatro, for example, makes the games that he wanted to make for his friends and for himself. He doesn't really didn't really care about the money and about like making a viral game. He just made the game that his heart told him to do and that he really wanted to make. And of course, also Vampire Survivor. They all didn't really care about the money and stuff. They just wanted to make a fun game, and it had success on its own. So I think it's important to not hunt for the money, but hunt for fun games.
Right, but then you also have situations like Maki's adventure, for example, where I think it's very fair to say that you did very much follow your heart and you wanted to make a game that you find fun, and yet it didn't sell extremely well. So I wonder, is there correlation between the strategies, or how do you think about it? Or is it like if you make projects that you're passionate about, it will become successful eventually, even maybe not immediately? Or like, what's the way you think about that?
I think if you have like a fail, like Maki's Adventure was a big fail from the financial aspect because I spent 2 or 3 years after launch with a level editor, which I spent 1 additional year. I also made a boss rush mode. I think I made a local multiplayer mode with Steam Remote Play together, like where you can play with friends online also. And I spent a lot of time for a game that made, I think, a net revenue that I got onto my like bank account. It was like maybe 12,000 euros for like 3 years of development. So the game was a big financial flop, of course, but the game taught me how to make games. You know, it was like my first big game that taught me how to like finish a game, how to keep motivated because before Maki's Adventure, I only made games in 1 or 2 weeks and maybe a month, like for a bigger game. But Maki's Adventure was my first like big game that also taught me that I don't want to make games over 3 years anymore. I just want to make smaller games, fun games, and I want to make more different games, you know? Because I would rather make 3 games in 3 years than 1 game in 3 years and hope that this 1 game like recovers my financial problems over the time, you know? And with Pedal Pedal, which told me that games can be made in a short amount of time and you can put effort and love into the game, but you don't have to put like feature creep and stuff into the game development. Because I made a list of elements that want to be in the game from the first day. So I made 1 big list in I think I made it in Word, in Microsoft Word and stuff. And I just made 1 list with like 30 elements that should be in the full game and nothing more. And then I strictly keep working with the list. I didn't really edit more things before the game launch. I just had like 30 elements and like different biomes and stuff that I had planned out from the first day. And having this like planned out development, but shorter development instead of like a 3 years development and looking, maybe I get a whole new idea tomorrow. Maybe I get like a new like dungeon idea in 1 week. I just really want to make one game with like a list of elements that I want to have in there, and don't really overscope, don't really feature creep, and just make the game that I wanted to make in the first day.
Smart. So you knew from making Maki's Adventure that you are gonna be tempted to add more things, and that's why you made a list early on.
It's my big problem. I feature creep is like a big problem for me. But I just love to learn and play other games. Like when I made Maki's Adventure, I played Hollow Knight, I played Zelda, and I had a lot of ideas every day for new dungeons, new characters, new items. Because I also had like the idea to make a double jump item. I think 10 weeks before launch. And then I made it into like a quest, and I made the quest working last day before launch day because I had like a game-breaking bug in the quest. And I don't really want to suffer from feature creep and have this like spontaneous idea that took, I think, 10 days from development just fixing a bug, It's really not good.
Yeah, see, but that's kind of what I'm saying, because if you just follow your heart and you just make games that you want to make, then I think feature creep is part of that, right?
Yeah.
If you so this is already you compromising for like for the business side of things, maybe, right?
Yeah, try that, and just maybe listen to your heart, but don't listen to feature creep and overscoping and stuff. But I think it's important to make the game that you had planned and not really getting like a lot of people influence you, and like, because of course it's good to listen to player feedback, but I don't think that I think you should make the game that you want to make and not take a lot of like too much care of like player feedback and having ideas from the community. Of course it's important to edit, but it shouldn't be like the majority, of the development.
Right, but you still want to maybe watch them play to see if
of course
they get stuck somewhere and so on. Yeah, sure. Yeah, makes sense. So you have a very raw and pure approach then still, right? I see.
I tried it.
We'll talk again in 10 years and we'll see how that changed, if you slowly get more pragmatic over time, or if you manage to maintain that. What are your takeaways or ideas for the next projects then? So you want to keep making small games?
Of course, yeah. I want to only make small games. Maybe after like 3 more successful small games, like Pede Pede, I want to make like one bigger game, because I had like a 3D Maki's Adventure sequel planned, which is more like the Wind Waker game from Zelda, which had like this big ocean world, and the islands are connected to the game world, so you don't have any screen transition. You can just enter an island, and the island is in real world size, And it should be like an open world Maki's Adventure game, because I also have planned the story. Everything is planned out. I just need to start development. But I really want to work with it with a publisher in the early days already and have funding and stuff, or maybe a Kickstarter, because I think this game can be really big and really cool, but only with like the amount of money that I can make the game full time. Because I don't want to make this game after getting home from my job or something like that. I think it's too exhausting.
Well, ideally, if you make three more small successful games, ideally you'd already be self-funded by then, right?
Yeah,
that would be the best case scenario.
I hope Pede Pede is more like an income source for the next years, because right now, I think today we sold 2,000 units today, only because we have on a
Holy
sale.
Crap.
It's like, it's still doing great. And the publisher also reached out and said, because we have meetings once in a while and we chat via Discord every day. And it's really amazing, because the game has not really fell off right now. It is out for more than 3 months on Steam right now, and the sales are going like spikes every day. So it's not really falling off. It's more like, of course, more people play the game when it's evening in Germany, because I think it's then morning in USA or something like that. And I think that's the time where most units are sold. So because of German, I think German units sold are like 5% of all overall. And I think most units are sold in Asia and in USA, I think. Oh no, Asia, Russia, and Turkey, I think, is the 3 biggest units sold. So I think the spikes are getting through Steam when they are awake, And that's when I see the spikes in the next morning. And I wake up and I think today we reached 120,000 units sold, which is crazy. And I really hope to get 200,000 units sold until the end of the year, because we have one big event in November where we have like a main show spot, and this one is pretty huge. It's like big. Like, I think it's the biggest event on Twitch and YouTube for game developers. And we will have like an update there, really cool. And I think it's like more like a second launch. It can be more like a second launch because the event had 150,000 concurrent viewers last year. It's pretty big.
And you're announcing a pedal update?
Yeah. We are doing something big there. I can say that.
Okay, interesting. Nice. It sounds like you're quite happy with Assemble Entertainment for your publisher.
They are awesome. They take the things I don't like to do. Because when people reach out with, can we have a call about, we have like a project, we have like this and that, and I then just forward the email to the publisher because I just want to make my game. Of course, I love to listen to other projects, other like cool like opportunities. But I first let a sample check that, and if they think the thing is cool, then I also check it out, of course. But you get so much like spam and trash, and my inbox is full of trash, and like we are a Steam curator, we are a review site, and we would like 10 theme keys, and I'm like, why 10 theme keys? And
because we want to resell them, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Let's be real here.
Then I just forward emails to Assemble, and they like sort out the trash from the good ones.
Yeah. I still get spam emails for Will You Snail every day. Like, people still think they can extract free keys from me. I fell for it at the beginning, but now I know they're just like, it's like 99% key resellers. Very, very, very rare that a real creator requests a key, because honestly, the real creators, if they want to play a game, the fastest thing for them is to just buy it.
Yeah, so I think if I see like a Steam curator email, then I just directly ignore it, because I think this curator thing is not really worth it. Because of course, some people have 10,000 people who follow it, but then I see like they post like 10 curator reviews every day, and I'm like, maybe 10 people buy the game, maybe, I think more like maybe one person buys the game. And I think it's not worth it then. So I just, of course, with like things like Can You Pet a Dog is like a big curator page where people actually just want to see games they have like a dog that you can pet. Of course, that I sent them a key for Maki's Adventure back then. But most people are just like scammy sites that just want to have your game for like key seller page.
Yeah, that's how it is. And they often have like fake YouTube channels with like few botted videos and so on to convince you that you should give them a key. Interesting economics behind that, yeah. But cool to hear that you're happy with your publisher, because I think there are always a lot of stories going around of developers not being happy with their publisher. Also, like, especially behind closed doors, like people, like developers don't always talk about it openly, but behind closed doors, there are a lot of stories of devs not being so happy with their publisher. So it's cool to see some devs that are happy with their relationship.
That's actually really cool. Had one big wish, because I think 1 week ago, Devolver followed me on Twitter, and then I sent them an DM where I said, I have a game, a roguelike, maybe you will like it. And then they sent us a pitch. And then I sent the pitch to Nigel. I think he's like the Devolver like submission for pitch guy. And he I think reads through every pitch and discusses with the team. And then they reached out to me via email, but sadly, like they said, it looks like a really interesting game and we really like the concept, but we think it doesn't fit to our portfolio. But he said that he would like to know other games I make in the future. I think it's not a win, but not a lose, maybe something in between. But like having Devolver publish Rock Jungle would be a big dream, because it's like
even opening that communication line sounds like a win to me, for sure. Like at that point where you're at in your career right now, that sounds like a win, to be honest.
Yeah, because I saw Thomas Brush about like Devolver, because he had like Brave Boy, this game, this dog game, right?
Sure.
And he also reached out to Devolver, and they even had like, I think, a meeting at Gamescom, and I'm like, holy shit. It would be really cool if they had like published Brave Boy, I think. Because everything Devolver publishes, it's like pre-gold, because the game doesn't really have to be that good, but it's Devolver and people give it a chance then, and maybe they will like it. So maybe when the game itself is not enough to sell to the audience, I think the Devolver sign on it is like a first sign for people to check it out.
Yeah, I think it can work out in some cases, but I also think it's very hard to generalize. And I also think that if you can, I think it's best to just go completely self-funded solo without a publisher. But it depends, of course, on what you can do and what you want to do. For example, if you're like, I really don't want anything to do with marketing at all, and I want others to deal with all of those emails, then that's perfect, right? That's awesome that you have somebody to take care of that for you then.
Yeah.
Like,
for Rock Jungle, it was more like I need money because I want to have like
sure.
professional music for that. And I reached out already to the Vampire Survivor composer, to one of them, because he enjoyed like playing the playtest and he likes the concept of the game. And having like a Vampire Survivor composer, because the Vampire Survivor music is like one of my favorite video game soundtracks. I really love it.
Mm-hmm.
And having like something made from a composer from Vampire Survivor in my roguelike game, because I think music is super important, music and sound effects. And I think having his like work in Rogue Jungle could really help to get like this roguelike thing, you know? Because I think a roguelike really needs a lot of music, sound effects for every weapon and stuff. Because when I play Enter the Gungeon, for example, I love to listen to the music. The gameplay itself is awesome, but I also love to like shoot around because I think the SFX in Enter the Gungeon or in Vampire Survivor are awesome. And like the music when standing in the middle in Vampire Survivor, just listening to the music is like a treat to my ears, you know? It's like awesome for me. And because right now I only use from Production Crate free to use music under the license for them, and it's like not really good enough to sell the game. And most people think the sound effects, the music are trash, but the gameplay feels really unique and cool, but the music is really annoying to them. So I think having, and I plan like 10 to 15,000 for music and sound effects, like for I think 2 or 3 unique soundtracks and for a few sound effects made by a professional sound designer could really help to make the game stand out better.
Yes, that about the price range you pay for 2 to 3 tracks is like 10 to 15,000, something like that?
I think so, because I had like I had like a conversion, like a conversation with him, and he also said that he also has not that like high of a price for his music because he loves to make music, but of course it is not really cheap because it's like a professional sound design musician, you know, and but maybe.
Yeah, but like if it's like a professional who has done for music for other games before, then that I think sounds like a pretty fair price. Yeah, could probably be. He could probably be asking for more.
Yeah, he could. Yeah. I think it could go easily for more because his portfolio is amazing.
Yeah, interestingly, I have some data to back up your claim that music's very important because I looked into the data a bit recently, and you know how games have different tags on Steam, and so you can kind of compare how well they are selling based on the tags that they have. And finally, great soundtrack is one of the tags that is really like a positive indicator for good sales. So I'm not sure if it's correlation or causation. Not entirely sure. It could also be that better games have better soundtracks. Or it could be that games with better soundtracks sell better. I'm not entirely sure which one it is, but there's some correlation there. For that alone is already quite interesting.
Yeah, I think because I'm like a gamer and I listen to music a lot. Like for example, when I work on my games, I listen to Pokemon Pearl music because I think the OST from Pokemon Pearl and Diamond are amazing, and I just love this chiptune, old school pixel art like music, if you know what I mean, and this old school vibe to it. And I don't really like this because I think like a game like Pokemon is really dependent on the music. Because if you walk around in the cities, and every city has its own soundtrack, and it's just really awesome to just stand around in the town, like make, for example, also the Pokemon fight entrance music is also amazing. Like every trainer has a different soundtrack, and I really think it's amazing. And this music side from Pokemon really helped to sell the whole game to me, for myself.
And maybe because in the Pokemon times you like because the graphics were more limited, they had to infuse more personality with the music.
Yeah, it could also be. But I think I'm like a big fan of old pixel art Pokemon. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I strangely have had a very different childhood when it comes to games. Like all of those pixel art Pokemon, all of those things kind of got past me. I played weird things like Speedy Egbert.
Yeah,
Bloopy. I'm not sure if you know that one, but like
not really. I just played Nintendo games, Wii games, and stuff. Because I had no PC when I was a kid. I had only I think a Nintendo DS, a Nintendo 3DS, a Nintendo DSi, and then a Wii U, and a Switch. Then it was my like gaming setup.
Yeah, obviously the games you play have a big impact on on what you like to make, right?
Yeah, I have an idea. I really want to make a monster taming game.
A monster taming game.
But maybe
does that sound like a small game or is it like a big game?
A huge game. Because like when you see Pokemon, for example, you have to have different animations for every Pokemon when you want to have like 100 or 200 different monsters, you know? And I really I admire the Pokemon developers a lot because I think the art style looked really good earlier. And I don't really want to know how many animators and artists they had back then. Because if I would have to imagine that only 2 or 3 people made all the Pokemon sprites, I think it is really hard because there are so many Pokemons, they have different animations, they have different attack animations sometimes too. And I think Pokemon is like one of the best games and like biggest effort in the development, you know. Maybe not today, but earlier.
No, I can't really speak about it because I have to admit I haven't played Pokemon.
All right.
Not on the list of games that I've played. But would you say that in which ways is Pokemon an inspiration on your game?
From the art style, because I like Pixar a lot, and like Pokemon Pearl was the first game where I actually saw this pixel art aesthetic back then. Because of course most games had like a pixely aesthetic, but not pixel art. It was more like this PS1 aesthetic from Spider-Man back then, for example, or like this crunchy art style from Mario 64, you know. And it was not pixel art, but it was like old schooly. And Pokemon Pearl was the first game which had like pure pixel art and really had me amazed in this art style. And Maki's Adventure, I think, was only possible because I loved pixel art from Pokemon Pearl and I wanted to try it out myself. And that's also what influenced me to make Maki's Adventure a lot. And also, for example, Zelda with the gameplay and character storytelling and stuff. Because in Maki's Adventure, I have like, I think 30 to 40 characters and they all have a connection between each other. So there's not really like a filler character. It's only there to fill a gap. All characters are made to have like an interaction with each other, you know. So they have connections on the island. So for example, there's one big guy in the pub who's sleeping and snoring that loud that no one wants to visit the pub again. And then the barkeeper told Maki to bring a wake up potion to wake this sleeping guy up and to save his business, you know. And then the snoring guy also wants to go to the kitchen to another NPC and tells you to bring him some food from the kitchen. And he also makes fun of the cook, you know. And like the characters make fun of each other because they are demons in the end. So they seem to be nice, but in the end they are demon characters, you know. So they have like a bit of an evil aspect in them too. So for example, there are 2 guards who have to protect the pantry, and then they send you to I think bring something from the pantry to the kitchen, some like food supply. And then they ask themselves, what are our sons doing right now? And then 2 floors up, the 2 sons are appearing and telling them, our parents are on guard duty right now. They have to protect the pantry. And that way you see they all have a connection and they all are connected to each other and they have like a really living there and not really just spawning there.
I think that's just one of the things that signals that you care and that signals to the player that you care, right? Because the game feels more alive that way. It makes sense.
Yeah, but I think it's only there because I played Zelda, because Zelda has this like connection between the NPCs. So that's why Nintendo like influenced me a lot.
So you already said earlier that you learn a lot from looking at what other people do, right? For learning Photon, you said you learned from opening up projects and seeing how it's done. And it also sounds like for all of the other things, there's like your style of learning is looking what other people do.
Yeah, I think because Photon has not really much of tutorials, because Photon Fusion 2 is more of a newer, I think more of a new solution from them, and there are not really much tutorials or videos on YouTube. So like, I could not really learn from YouTube videos, but I really just learned from the example projects.
Right, but also when it comes to stuff like marketing and so on, it sounds like you have a similar approach there.
Actually, I learned a lot from David Whaley, and I love him, love his story a lot, because I think Thomas, David, and I share the same story because we just started really early, like you too, of course, but we started early and we just tried to survive and just tried to build up a studio, and we learned everything from the internet, you know, because I also had no course. Of course, I had I think I bought David's course 1 year ago and I learned a lot from his course too, but back when I started, I had like no lecture in university, nothing except YouTube videos. and I just tried to learn with Brecky's videos, and yeah, it was really. And back then also Black Phone Trot, and oh man, nostalgic. It's so awesome.
That's really cool because you just talked about how all of these characters are connected, and now you're yourself becoming one of those connected characters. And
Yeah.
it's
like
funny.
I think I used your videos to motivate me, because I think your focus is more on like the development side and about keeping motivated, what you've done in the week and stuff. I think you don't really have like tutorials on game programming, right? Or have you done something?
I have, I think, 3 programming tutorials on my channel.
Yeah, but I think
so not a lot.
But I think your audience, like myself, like use your videos to motivate and see other people have to do it also, and we all have to learn from each other and have to like keep motivated. And I watched your videos a lot, like about videos, and like that's the way when I keep motivated and saw other people have the same problems that I have, and I'm not alone here,
Yeah, I have an interesting question for you then, and that would be: are you somewhat worried if you're gonna be able to reproduce something like Pedal Pedal? Do you think you're gonna be able to make another successful game again, or like, are you worried about that? Are you relatively confident that you can do it again?
I don't really care about that, to be honest. I don't really have like a worry or a fear that I'm like a one-time wonder and stuff. A one-hit wonder, because I know if I make a game, and Assemble would love to work with me again, and also like the people from the PR agency from Assemble reached out and said, if I have a new project, I want to work with them, because I think if you have like the same setup, because Assemble had a lot of impact on the marketing way and on getting like the word out of the game, out for the game. And I just need a game idea, and they will take care of the rest, And now I have also contacts to Platte, to YouTubers and stuff. And if I have a game now, I have like a bigger audience, because I think on TikTok I made 5,000 followers more. Right now I am at 33,000 followers on TikTok. On Twitter I have like 1,000 followers gained, and a lot of press people and content creators, and like also people who write reviews and stuff. And just like climbing one step up on the ladder from your game dev journey, so you meet more people, you are connected to more people. For example, in 1 hour there's a giveaway made from the Telecom, because right now I know people from Telecom too. And you connect with more people every day. You learn new things every day, and in the end my brain is evolving, my connections are evolving and improving. But the games are on the same level, Pede Pede could have been my first game too, and it could have been failed, but it was a success because I think I learned how to get eyes on the game. I made videos on TikTok because I learned from Maki's Adventure how to use TikTok. And the TikTok videos had millions of views, so it was a big marketing way for me. And I also knew influencers and sent keys to them. So right now I have a press list of more than 1,000 emails for influencers, for like press people, and yeah, it is. I think you have to improve yourself, and the games will really have a better release automatically.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I would partially agree there. The only caveat I would give is that I'm not sure everything is marketable, right? Not every game is marketable. So you can, even if you get better at marketing, and even if you build your connections, even if you're set up perfectly for marketing, your game can still fail. And there's one very prevalent example of that. Of course, I'm not gonna name it, but maybe if you put 1 and 1 together, then you know which game I'm talking about.
Yeah. I read I think Code Monkeys, like Game Dev report about that.
Yep. Talking to you and so on, I'm confident in your future, because you have 2 very important things, and those 2 things are curiosity, and you have time. And I think, looking at where you're now, and you seem to be on a very good trajectory.
Thank you.
I think it's
awesome. But I just tried. Of course, I try to not get away with that big of money right now, and just think my next game will make a lot of money too. I just want to keep my spirit from the first day. I just want to make games that are fun. And I saw that Pede Pede was a game where I didn't really care about money in the first days. I just had like a fun game idea and executed it. And I think if you don't care that much about money and monetization and stuff, and just make fun games, in the end you will fail or not fail, but it's not up to you, it's up to luck and fortune, I think.
What do you think, in which ways does luck play a role in success? How do you think about luck?
A big one, because I had I think I saw a release, I think a year ago, where one developer was like buried by 10 AAA releases in the same day, which I shadow dropped. And then I think she made a video on TikTok and she had to cry about it because, of course, it's a sad day when you have like a launch day and then like AAA games are shadow dropped 10 games and it takes the whole Steam front page and you have no spot. Of course, I also would have cried then because it's like really sad for you. And I think she earned a lot of popularity back then. Do you know her? She made like this I think a point-and-click adventure about potions and wizards and stuff.
The story sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm not.
She was even in the local news, in the TV, because the story was so heartwarming, And of course, she had like a lot of hate because the game didn't really connect it to a lot of people, but she found her niche. She found her player base. And that's something I really think is cool.
Mm-hmm. So you told me she got really unlucky, and then you also told me how she got a lot of press from that, though, and how it turned out okay eventually, right?
So, yeah, she got unlucky because 10 AAA games shadow dropped on the same day as her launch day. But she got lucky because she made like post crying on TikTok and it went completely viral. I think it had 100 million views and people saw it a lot.
If you get particularly unlucky, then you can leverage it to your advantage.
Yeah, it's not the end. I think it's important to maybe try it out anyway and just hope for if you have luck in the unluck,
Right. So if you get unlucky, don't accept it and see if you can find a way to turn it around. So
yeah.
So would you maybe say there's a lot of luck involved, but you're not helplessly exposed to it?
Yeah, I personally don't think like a bad launch day is directly the end because look at Among Us. The game was dead for 1 year. I think I watched a documentary about Among Us, and the guys at the documentary said that they wanted to turn off servers because they couldn't afford it. But suddenly one streamer played it. One big one, and the whole world played it because they were lucky on that day, And I think this sign is my personal sign to never give up, even if your launch day is a failure,
And then, of course, there are people like Hugh Millward who were just so consistent and relentless that even after a failed launch, they just keep working on the same game for like 10 years. And of course, if you like stick with it for that long so persistently, you'll probably find a way to turn it around, right? So
yeah, I mean, if you have fun making the game, then of course. Just work on it anyway.
The luck discussion is always, I think, an interesting one because a lot of people who don't make it look at the people who made it and are like, oh, they got lucky, right?
Yeah.
And you see this in discussions on X and on Twitter a lot. If these kind of things are discussed, then oftentimes you read things like, yes, and you need to get super lucky, right? Every time you share advice, somebody's like, and you need to get super lucky.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Is that the case, or can you force the luck if you push hard enough?
I think luck is also a big part, of course, because if you have 100,000 wishlist or more, like maybe, of course, if you have like 100 to 1 million, the launch day will be a good day. And it depends on the gameplay itself and if players like the game. But if you have not like this safe area of wishlist, then luck is a big part because you have to be lucky that no one decides to shadow drop the game there and that maybe not like a AAA game is coming out and taking the whole weekend with like players playing like GTA. Because I think if you launch your game before GTA and then player want to check it out, but then GTA launches, people will forget about your game. Even though you had 100,000 wishlist, So I think it is important to pick a good launch day, but also it's important to just pray and have luck. But yeah, it's like a lottery, So you have like, you can buy like 10 different lottery tickets, but you have to be lucky in the end. But you can also have you can work on it a lot and you can make your chances as high as possible, but in the end it is luck.
Yeah, that makes sense. To be honest, I don't really know the answer to this either. Just also, it's fun to speculate. I sometimes wonder if it's maybe more like, how there are some games that are kind of luck based if you're a beginner, like for example poker.
Yeah.
Like poker, if noobs play poker, it's very, very luck based, right? But if professionals play poker, then it's not luck based at all. So I wonder if game dev is a little bit like that, where it's luck based if you don't know what you're doing, but if you as you become a professional, it's no longer really about the luck, because if you You can get unlucky once or twice, but it's not really possible for you to get unlucky 20 times in a row because you just know what you're doing.
It's important, I think, to just keep growing and getting like more popular with your like presence, because I think just look at Lethal Company or just look at the Among Us developers. It's not really important what games they drop. If they drop a game, it will be a success because they have like the big follower base. And I think the important thing to get over this luck-based area is to build up a social media account, build up a YouTube channel, because I think also, for example, you have a big chance to have a successful game just because you have a big following on YouTube, because you can make a video, and if people like the game, then your video can go more viral than it does anyway, and then more people will see the video and the game and share it, And I think having like you can definitely get past the luck area if you have like a social media follower base, if you have a publisher who has like a big following, if you have a Kickstarter campaign, which is also luck a lot, but also a lot of work because you have to make a good page, you have to collect followers. But if you make games over years, then I think it's not really possible to not make a successful game in the end. Because if you make it in the right way, you have at least 10,000 followers somewhere. Because of Maki's Adventure, I made 30,000 followers in 2 weeks with one post, which went super viral. And this follower base still supports me a lot. And if I now release, for example, the Rogue Jungle playtest, I had 5,000 people play the game only from TikTok. And it's not about luck, it's about me making content and like getting the word out about my game. But I'm not really luck dependent anymore right now, I would say.
At least not as much as you used to,
of
right?
Course.
Right. So I think we might be onto something there, right? So it's more luck based in the beginning, and you can sort of work your way through layers that make it less luck based.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, very encouraging for the people listening who are not there yet. Yeah, there is some luck involved. I think it's fair to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, but you just have to get the work out and just have to work on your dream, work on your games. And of course, your first games won't be super successful, but you have to, because I think no one made his first game except Balatro, maybe. But most games, I think 99% of developers make their first games and it is a flop. But you have to ignore that, just make your next game and improve yourself. Learn from your mistakes, learn from your marketing mistakes. I should have posted a bit more, I should have collected more wishlist and stuff. And then take this like mistake and convert it to like a success in your next game and learn from it. Because game dev is not only making a game, it's also learning from your mistakes and improving your marketing way, your I think also Steam, because Steam is a big part of the whole game, because the Steam page you see, are we there yet? This like RV peak game, this like 4 players have to overcome a big mount on an RV car. And they had like a Steam page and no marketing back then. But their Steam page was, I think it was posted earlier, and it had 70,000 wishlists in, I think, 2 weeks, only because they had like a good cover art. And like the people loved the concept. And they don't really have to put much work into marketing. They just had to put like work into their identity of the game. It's like peak, but in an RV car. And you have to like work together to make this car to the top of the mountain. And they showed a lot of people how the game can go viral with absolutely, I think, zero marketing. Because, of course, the Steam page is marketing, but they haven't really posted about the game before launch.
Yeah, and also I would say, honestly, your case study is a very good example for how it is very much possible to break through, right? Even with not that much experience. And if, for example, if people look at your game, I think a lot of devs would say, I could have made that.
Yeah.
Like if you look at your game, it's not like, oh my God, it's impossible to make something like this. How could I ever make something like it? It's like, I could have made that.
Yeah.
And that's not meant like as an insult or so. It's like meant as yeah, but nobody else did, It's like, you are the one who made it. That's what it is now.
You have to be the first with the idea, of course. It was influenced by Peak, by other games, which came out in this time. And it also got copied a lot on Roblox, on like a few other indie games who made like this pedal aspect in their game and this co-op pedal thing. But I was like the first co-op pedal game on Steam. So I was the first one there and was the first on the market. So I took like the spotlight, and of course people will copy the thing, But I think that they won't have that much of a success because people don't want to play the whole game again. They wait for more content from Pede Pede, I think, but I think they don't want to play like a different indie game with the same aspect. I don't think so. Maybe, but I think I don't have to be feared about getting copied and getting stolen.
You got your share. You don't have to fear about that at all anymore. I think it's possible that somebody's gonna make a quote unquote better version of what you made, and it might even sell better, whatever. But it's like it's not really gonna take much away from your game. I feel like it's like whatever, right?
Yeah, I think
copycats are cool.
Yeah, why not?
If you're the first on the market and other people copy you, that's like a luxury problem to have. Is there anything else you think would be interesting to talk about?
Maybe a bit about launch day, because when I launched Pede Pede, it was, I think, I didn't really was at home. I was at the library because I had to study for university. And Sam pushed the launch button when I was in university in the library. And it was a really random day because everything happened out of the box, I made a Twitter post, a TikTok post and stuff, but it was not really because of Maki's adventure. The whole day was like focused on the launch day. But for Pede Pede, it was more like things are happening and I just take them, And it was really much of listening to player feedback, improving the game a lot with like making the game more like not more difficult but more easier for people because it was way too hard, as I said. And the game was already better balanced on launch day, but I also had to make it way more easier. And it was like the game was way too hard when I had like this game finished in Unity from my personal side. And like I had to spend, I think, a few weeks to make more patches and to make things work and things easier in multiplayer, because single player is way easier than multiplayer, of course, because you can control everything yourself. But you also have to play in multiplayer sometimes with friends and stuff, and multiplayer has to be as easy together as single player is, I think. And I just want to say that look at launch, look how your numbers go, how your reviews go, and maybe fix the problems that I reported, and listen to feedback, how players react to anything, and just make it better and make the wishes from the players into the game. But after launch, I think it's a better aspect, better way. Because I think getting influenced that much during development is not that good, but having the player feedback when the game is out is way better than just adding everything in development, That was something I cared a lot.
Right, but you need to launch with a stable working version.
Of course, yeah.
Probably get some input from players before, otherwise you might end up in a situation with bad surprises where maybe players expected something else. That makes sense.
But launch day was amazing because I think when I opened Steamworks in the evening when I got home, because I think wishlists are now dynamic, so you don't have to wait for the next day. You can just refresh the wishlist page every single day, every single hour, and see a new number and stuff. So I spent the next days refreshing this tab a lot and looking at the numbers, because I was really interested how this game will perform, because it is a whole different thing as Maki's Adventure, but it has the same numbers on launch day. But we planned the launch for Friday, because we then have the new and trending tab for the whole weekend, because there are no games releasing on the weekends. So we decided to go for, I think, 5 p.m. No, we have 3 p.m. 3 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. And then I think 2 hours later or 3 hours later, I already sold half the copies that Maki's Adventure sold in lifetime, which is pretty amazing. And the day ended with 5,000 sales, because maybe I can just drop the numbers here because they are public already. But the first big thing for me personally was that Pede Pede sold more units in the first weeks than David Rayleigh sold with the first 3. And David Rayleigh was a big inspiration. It was so unreal for me to sell more copies than David Rayleigh sold, because he was my teacher in some areas, and it was really some personal big thing for me to sell more copies than he sold, and it's just a personal accomplishment for me that I'm really proud of and really happy with. And then I think in the first month it was 50,000 units sold, and right now 120,000, and I just want to see how it evolves until the end of the year.
Nice, and I'm also curious to see what that update's gonna do, right? If you're about to drop another update, I'm curious if that's gonna spike the sales or if it's flat.
I'm really curious and really excited for that too.
Yeah.
But I can send you the details and when the showcase happens.
Sure, I'd be curious to learn more about that. That's like the advantage I have over the average podcast listener here is I get additional insights.
Sure.
So you also, right, you didn't feel like multiplayer was not, like, how difficult would you say was the multiplayer aspect of Paddle Paddle to make?
It was the most difficult thing for the game because the map was built in 1 month. It didn't really take that much of time because I had everything planned out on paper. And I just used my assets that I made previously for Maki's Adventure a lot. And I just built it like Lego, It just built like Lego pieces, brick by brick, like a wall, then another wall, then the water plane, then the balls which are bouncing you off, then the spikes on the areas of the water and stuff on the corners. And it's just like building a Lego piece, building a map for this game. So it's really hard, really easy for me to build a level, build a map there. And the different part that is more difficult is the testing. The map is actually good and fun, because testing alone is way more different than testing with a teammate, because you have to test both things. You have to test it. It's not too easy if you play alone, but also not too hard if you play with a co-op friend. And that's like the most different thing after the multiplayer, I think. So I think on the top 3 different things, the number 1 is, of course, on a multiplayer, because it's something that I'm not really into. I'm not deep into UDP, TCP, and all this like networking stuff. I just want to have it working, and I try my best to get it done as soon and as fast as possible, but also as optimized and as good as possible. And then also, I think the testing stuff, the balancing is also important and really difficult for me. But I think all the other stuff, like the marketing, was really easy because I just tweeted a post on Twitter. I made a TikTok post and it got viral itself. It was a really a dreamy development.
Right. So if you make the correct game, then marketing is on easy mode. That's what everybody is saying.
I think so.
You can do the exact same marketing for different games, but like the different will just be like the outcome will be different depending on what game you're making.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And also the multiplayer, even though it was difficult and it made playtesting more difficult, it didn't hold you back, right? You still made the game in 4 months. Holy hell.
I made it in 4 months, From, I think, the first post was made on March 4th, and then the release was in July. So it was about 4 months,
So for your next games, are you aiming for like a similar cycle? Are you like 4 months per game or something like that?
Right now I want to finish Rogue Jungle first, which is planned for Q1, Q2 in 2026. So it will be out in the next month and stuff. But I also search for publishers for like funding and also for marketing, because the game is almost done, but I need money for like hiring a composer and a sound designer, because I think the last like missing part is like good sound effect and music. And that's like the things that I want to focusing on for Rogue Jungle. And then I just want to keep making smaller games, like maybe maximum half a year of development for my next games.
And Rogue Jungle, basically you already also have some validation from people that makes you confident that people want this game.
I have a playtester group of 10 people on my Discord who get like builds regularly. So I have a Discord where I share builds with them privately. And then also I have like public channels where people can play the playtest. Because the playtest was really, because also a few publishers reach out and they enjoy the playtest a lot. And the game is also taking part in like Rogue Jungle and roguelike events on Steam. And I have like a big player base in the events, and the playtest was played, I think, 20,000 times already. And the feedback is great so far. But I think the next step is a demo for early next year, for next fest, maybe in February. And then the launch in July, June, somewhere like that.
It looks nice.
Thank you.
Like, once again, in a slightly crappy way, but in a well done crappy way.
Yeah, it's cool. I try to make games more fun, and the graphics should be, like, as I said, should support the fun and not really just look amazing. Of course, some people enjoy the graphics a lot, but I think the graphics are just there to make the game look okayish, good. But the gameplay is what makes the game unique, because you have like weapon cards, you are in a procedurally generated dungeon, and the rooms are all generated from scratch, so they are like non-existent. And I then make a shape for the room. I then like put the pillars on the area, on the corners, then connect it with walls, build interior designs like walls or like different buildings in the rooms. And then it's all like with Unity's Nav Mesh. So I have like a nav mesh which is baked then dynamically on the new ground shape, and then the enemies are spawned on this nav mesh. So that's like how I make the rooms and stuff. And the like unique thing is that you can combine every weapon. So the game is more like a sandbox because you find weapon cards and you can just combine them together to build more overpowered weapons. For example, if you put like a bow and a ghost in this like merge fields, and you have like a skeleton army, because the ghost can revive weapons and bring them back to life, you know. So a bow gets to a skeleton army which carries bows and stuff, and a claw and a ghost will get to a werewolf. So it's like an running entity which supports you on your battle.
So you can combine any weapon with any other
Any
weapon.
yeah. There are over 200 weapons in the full game. I think there are about...
Holy hell, how did you make all of those? But you did not have to handcraft all of those combinations. There's like, if you combine weapons, they share stats in some way or something like that.
It's all unique. Everything is a unique weapon. Like nothing is just swapping values. For example, there are weapons like elemental weapons where you have a bow and a fireball, and it sends like a fire arrow, for example, which makes enemies burn. But there are also weapons, like most parts is, for example, the kaboomerang, which is like a cannon and a boomerang, and then the boomerang has cannons on every side and shoots cannons into the direction when it's flying. So the weapon should feel like, it should feel logical that if you combine a cannon and a bow, for example, it's like the arrows are cannons and they shoot cannonballs when the arrow flies around, you know. It should not feel like it's too... like just there to fill the gap, but it should feel like the main feature of the game. Yeah.
That does sound quite cool. But the 200 weapons you said, those are not the 200 weapons you can all combine with each other. That's like the 200 is like all of the combinations and all of the stuff.
I think there are 14 base weapons and you can combine everything. And there are also a few legendary weapons that can be found like into the gungeon, where you have like an overpowered gun, for example.
And can you also combine those overpowered guns then with other things?
They are the base weapons that you cannot combine. But other than the 14 base weapons, you can combine weapon A with every other weapon, you know?
And can you carry multiple weapons, or do you try? Okay.
You have, I think, by base right now I have said that you have 5 weapon slots, and you can also unlock more weapon slots, and you have also like a card bank slot where you can, like, temporarily for one round you can store one weapon card that you want to have like merge in the next round, but you don't have a slot in your deck. So you can just temporarily put them in your card bank and have them there, and you can have them in the next upgrade area. Yeah.
So you're trying to get the most overpowered weapon combinations.
Yeah.
And you try to build a stack of overpowered weapons.
Yeah, but it's really interesting how people play, because the game was at Gamescom, at Polaris, and at big German events. And I see a lot of people play the game for the first time there, and they just have their base weapons, the bow, for example, and just max it out. So they don't really get more weapons, they just want to upgrade it. And I'm like, you can play it like that, but it's boring, you know. But they are like, the gameplay is super fun, I just want to keep playing. And I'm like, okay, I will shut up then.
Okay, interesting. But is it balanced in a way where it's beneficial to play with just one weapon, or is it more beneficial to have multiple weapons?
You can play with both, but of course the multiple weapons and having like more than one weapon is better, because one weapon will never be as good as 2 weapons, you know?
Okay.
Of course, one level 6 weapon is as good as 2 level 1 weapons, of course, because the damage is way better. And for example, the bow has like, in the first level it has 1 arrow, in the next level you can shoot 3 arrows, and then 5 arrows and 7 arrows. But I think then having a level 1 bow with like a level 1 fireball is not that good, of course. But it will be balanced out really quickly if you have like 3 to 4 weapons.
I see, because obviously the balancing can sometimes get players to play in a way that doesn't even utilize the game's features.
Yeah.
Like, people will...
I'm happy when people have fun, you know?
Sure.
I don't really care if they play the game how I made the game. I just want to have people to make a fun game. And if they have fun with like only using one weapon, then maybe they have fun, and I will just let them enjoy it and don't really want to annoy them as much.
This is something I need to get better at. This is something that also Bear told me, the dev who's working on like Mechabellum, the strategy game. He was also like, he was basically like, people sometimes forget or developers forget what they were optimizing for, right? Which is fun.
Yeah.
And he was also like, yeah, sure, if people don't like this unit, then we'll just nerf it so that people don't use it anymore. I was like, what? Yeah.
Different approach, yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Why not? If it makes the game more fun. If it was like, if less variety means more fun, then sure, let's do less variety.
Maybe some people just want to, because roguelikes are really special. Because in a roguelike, yeah, people just want to have fun and just want to see effects pop up and see like hit markers, hear sound effects. And if I play Vampire Survivor, I don't care about my weapons. I just click the weapons that I think looks cool, you know? And in the end, I have fun, but maybe people, because most times I don't really make any weapon fusions, I just use 6 weapons and just walk around and collect items, and I have fun with the game. But other people maybe have fun by fusing the weapons and stuff, you know? But it's important to just make the core gameplay fun, you know? Because people seem to have fun with this walking around in the dungeon, defeating boss enemies, defeating normal enemies, and they don't, of course, like this fusion and this merge feature is like the core feature of the game. And if people recognize it, they love it, but you have to get them to recognize it first. So I then built in a tutorial where people see this merge feature and don't really oversee it then, you know?
So you're intentionally allowing for different ways to play. You don't want to dictate how people play. Yeah, makes sense. Man, yeah, I was somewhat worried about your next project, but like even just seeing this is like, you got this, man, you got this. Like, I'm not sure who knows if this is gonna do well, right? Nobody knows. But like the trajectory in general, it just looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have a meeting with a publisher in 1 hour, so maybe if that one works, I'm really amazed, because they're a really popular one, and I think it could be a really cool thing to work with them. And I'm really excited for, like, I think next to the Devolver email, it was the first time I'm excited to talk to a publisher. Of course, a sample was because I knew a sample before Pedal. We were friends before that, so I knew they are cool. But before that, most publishers are like, it would be cool, but I don't really know them that much. But they're Mad Mushroom. They are like from OTK, just like content creator-based publisher. And I think because they have like Hellclock, they have like roguelike game that did well on Steam, so I know that they know how to market a roguelike. And they also have influencers everywhere, you know, they are connected and they have like this influencer power. I think that having them as a publisher could be really cool for this game. So I'm really excited right now.
Okay, cool. Fingers crossed then.
Thank you.
We'll see how it turns out. All right, I think we'll just call it quits there. It was a very fun discussion.
I think so too. Thank you.